Well, the world's two largest economies may be preparing for a summit next month, but that has not stopped tension from rising. Just weeks before an unexpected meeting between Chinese President Mr. Xi Jinping and US President Mr. Donald Trump, Beijing has announced a fresh round of retaliatory measures against American companies, adding another chapter to the growing technology and trade rivalry between the two superpowers. China's Ministry of Commerce has imposed sanctions on several American companies, tightening export control on drones and related technologies designed for the US. And the announced additional restriction affecting business cooperation with certain US firms. Chinese officials say that these steps are a direct response to recent American action involving restriction placed on Chinese companies, tech products, and imports over national security and human rights concern. Well, the latest measures show the competition between Washington and Beijing. It is no longer limited to tariffs alone. It has now expanded into artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, drones, semiconductor, telecommunication, and supply chain. Both nations are increasingly using economic tools, export control, and corporate sanctions just as part of a broader strategic competition. But despite all these fresh restrictions, diplomatic engagement continues. Officials from both the nations have recently held virtual trade discussion while preparations are reportedly underway for a summit between President Trump and President Xi. Analysts say that both governments are trying to prevent economic competition from turning into uncontrolled confrontation. But at the same time, neither side appears willing to back down on issues involving tech, national security, or strategic influence. In the meantime, for businesses and investors, this means uncertainty is likely to continue. Well, companies operating across both markets may face new compliance requirements, supply chain investment, and additional regulatory hurdles. The rivalry between the US and China no longer just about trade. It is shaping the future of global tech, manufacturing, and investment with international commerce. Saudi Arabia has long been one of America's closest strategic partners in the West Asia. But according to the recent reports, the kingdom is now urging President Donald Trump to avoid taking military action that could push the region into a much larger conflict with Iran. And guess what? At the center of this discussion is Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, who reportedly expressed concern that any new American strike could destabilize the Gulf and threaten Saudi Arabia's long-term economic ambition. According to reports, Crown Prince Mr. Salman, he raised these concerns during conversation with the US officials as Washington considered possible responses to recent Iranian actions, including attacks linked to regional tension and disruption to shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. For Saudi Arabia, the concern goes far beyond military strategy. While the kingdom is investing hundreds of billions of dollars into Vision 2030, an ambitious plan designed to reduce its dependence on oil and transform the country into a global center for tourism, investment, tech, and innovation. Security experts believe that another major regional war could place that entire vision into pressure. Saudi officials have learned from years of conflict in neighboring Yemen that military operations often create long-term instability rather than quick solutions. Former US defense officials also argue that repeated military campaigns have failed to completely eliminate threats from groups like Houthis, despite years of sustained operation. Now, if we see from Riyadh's perspective here, another large-scale conflict with Iran, it could damage investors' confidence, slow economic reforms, and create fresh security risks across the Gulf. Diplomatic efforts are continuing alongside these concerns, though. Iran's foreign minister, he has been holding discussions with regional governments, while countries such as Qatar and Oman continue working to reduce tension and find diplomatic solutions. One of the key priorities remain ensuring safety, navigating the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important energy shipping route. Any disruption there, it could once again send oil prices soaring and affect economies across the globe. Saudi Arabia's message, very clear. While regional security remains important, well, preserving stability has now become equally critical. Because for countries investing in long term economic transformation, peace is not just diplomatic objective, it has now become an economic uncertainty.